He's Melvin, the CIA cat. He sees right through your tinfoil hat. With mics in his ears and an antenna tail, he'll hear your crimes and send you to jail. If you're planning a crime, well, he is near. Your words will go to a CIA ear. When they arrest you in your stolen hat, you'll know it was because of Melvin the Cat. The United States has been responsible over the years for a world-renowned precedent of military innovation, spanning from the first manned flight to creating one of the most destructive forces on the planet. Our military has on occasion, however, embraced concepts that are much less brilliant than their famed counterparts, most born from minds insanely stupid or stupidly insane. As there are more of these projects than should ever really see the light of day, here are some of the best worst things that the military has ever been a part of. World War II. With the sudden rise of missile innovation, both the Allies and the Axis were frantically trying to out-rocket the other side. But as computers were still too bulky for onboard missile computers, guidance systems had to either be incredibly rudimentary or outside the missile entirely. Due to the relative adolescence of radio technology, this made it incredibly easy to jam the guidance frequency of enemy missiles, causing the missiles themselves to veer wildly off course or just explode from sheer confusion. Suddenly, a brilliant idea emerged. The United States would place highly trained tactical pigeons inside their missiles. These flying rats would be provided with several screens, each displaying a different image of the missile's surroundings. The birds would peck at the intended target should it appear on one of the screens, and the missile would correct its course. The flaws of this plan were many. For example, what if the target appeared different to the image that the pigeon was presented during training, such as via a fresh coat of paint or a sinister German smiley face, to prevent the pigeon from recognizing its target? But by far the greatest gap in this plan was that the military was trying to pilot hunks of metal and explosives screaming through the air at Mach speeds with birds. Testing went about as well as you would expect, and the project was scrapped.
Why, hello! I've come to talk to you about the Church of Scientology!
Go away, fool. We have no need of your madness.
But, Xenu says the Russians can kill the president with their minds!
The president with their minds? My God, that's terrible. What can we do to stop it?
Well, all you have to do is hire some of our bona fide psychics and pay 3 to 5 to 8 numbers of millions of dollars in Great Xenu's name to fund the church.
Oh, is that all you want? We'll do that, and we'll do it for 30 years, even after the project seems to have failed utterly. Isn't that right, United States government?
Well, I don't know what all y'all CIA folks are talking about, but ooh-wee, does it sound smart.
During World War II, an idea was proposed by a dentist, an idea that would shake the very foundations of modern warfare. Incendiary devices strapped to, wait for it, bats. Bombs would be deployed from bombers at dawn, each bomb with a payload of 40 or so bats. Each bat was equipped with a small canister of napalm and was released after a parachute slowed the bomb down to a reasonable velocity. The bats would then roost by the thousands in the structures of Japan, most of which were made of paper and bamboo, and start hundreds of fires simultaneously after timers activated the devices several hours later. This was actually not as overcomplicated as it sounds. For instance, bombs that were just incendiary would not have been able to have as widespread an effect with the same payload. Bats are incredibly abundant in Mexican caves, bats can carry more than their own weight in flight, and they can deliver their payload without alerting fire crews or homeowners in advance. The project promised a maximum of destruction with a minimum of loss of life, as it is very easy to run from a small but inextinguishable bat-shaped inferno. But clearly you didn't watch this for the history lesson. Let's get to the good part. Unfortunately for the military, the bats themselves were to protest against this animal rights activist nightmare. On one occasion, bats escaped from their cages, armed, and proceeded to roost under the military base's fuel tanks, with about the same result as could be expected. The bats' semi-passive protest would not be entirely in vain, however, as the project's deployment date ended up pushed out to mid-1945 and was cancelled after the Manhattan Project was predicted to finish sooner and with an obviously more devastating effect. You unlock this door with the key of stupidity. Behind it is a hidden collection, a collection of insurmountable wastes of money. A collection of brilliant eyes, a collection that makes Einstein roll over in his grave. You're moving into a vault of both dreams and reality, of debt and insanity you've crossed over into. The Reagan administration. Lovingly dubbed Star Wars by the media after the then recently released film, SDI, or the Strategic Defense Initiative, was the brainchild of Ronald Reagan during his time in office. Reagan was disappointed with the long-standing dogma of mutually assured destruction, asking those around him why the United States was content with trading millions of its own people for millions more instead of trying to save the lives of millions of registered voters. When people tried to explain to him that the technology for this program didn't exist, Reagan waved them away, and the program that spent more on defense than every previous administration combined was born. Because SDI has more parts and acronyms to its name than FDR's alphabet agencies, we'll touch on some of the more creative ones. BEAR, or beam experiments aboard a rocket, was almost as good as sharks with friggin' laser beams. Rockets with friggin' laser beams. The rockets would be launched from Earth, fly close to the offending warheads, and shoot them down Star Trek style with their onboard laser cannons. Despite the style points this must have earned with Russian missile designers, hitting a bullet with a smaller bullet shot from a gun mounted on a third bullet worked about as well as the metaphor suggests. Along the more creepy side of SDI, another two programs were suggested in tandem, Brilliant Pebbles and Brilliant Eyes. Reminiscing of one of the recent NSA spying scandals and Captain America 2, these programs operated under the ideal that if you can see and shoot at anything on or around the planet, intercepting ICBMs would be a piece of cake. The Brilliant Eye program would create a satellite network around the planet designed to detect missile launches, while Brilliant Pebbles would be satellite-based weapons designed to shoot down warheads the other network detected with strictly kinetic ammunition. While a world where you can't hide from watermelon-sized metal slugs that can come from literally every angle is extremely terrifying, fortunately, what was called the most promising program of the SDI was cancelled in 1944. Every idea depicted here was an actual project proposed and tested by the United States government. To this day, the Church of Scientology has never successfully prevented the Ruskies from killing the president with their minds, and the CIA continues to mourn the first spy cat who was hit by a taxi cab. I regret to inform you that time has run out, but because you asked so nicely, here is an honorable mention. The gay bomb was first proposed by the United States government during World War II as an interesting way to incapacitate one's foes. A canister of highly concentrated aphrodisiac would have been launched into the ranks of the Third Reich, and the fearless American defenders would easily be able to defeat their Nazi foes because, according to the government, giant man orgies can't shoot back. While testing for this weapon had interesting results, the desired effect was never recorded to have been wrought upon America's foes. Thank you again. Goodbye.